March Madness is upon us. And ladies and gentlemen, we've had quite a start to March Madness. It has been incredible seeing what we have seen so far from this era of March Madness. And it is getting better and better every time that we witness these moments. Welcome on in inside the huddle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Thank you for joining in on a beautiful midday out here on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Guys, we have a lot to discuss today. We have a lot of March Madness reaction to break down. John Emery from LSU will be back for year number 7 of his crazy and rather interesting career that he's had out in Baton Rouge. We also have to talk about all that we have seen thus far around the college football world in regards to spring practice. Georgia has more student athletes getting arrested with reckless driving and speeding. Here we go again. Same story, different day. The biggest one, to me, this is the biggest one that people need to be talking about in college football. Matt Weiss, former Michigan offensive coordinator, charged with unauthorized computer access and identity theft that gained him access to accounts of over 150,000 student athletes across the country. So, to me, this is a big deal in regards to we already have the situation with Connor Stallions and the documentary that came out about him. And to me, honestly, I'm still convinced that Connor Stallions wasn't really a big key to that. The only thing I'll say with the sign stealing is this: adjust your signs. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to get into any more about that. If you want to learn more, I have a video that I did about this. I have a live show I did about this, I think, last month or the month before. But here's my overall whole take with all this is that, there's no better time to be in the world of college football than right here and right now. There really isn't. And look, it's getting better and better by the day. Guys, this is going to be an awesome day of not just college football, but also of just the game of basketball as well. By the way, let's go ahead and provide you with some March Madness updates. Couple of finals right now, couple games going on at the moment. Houston taking care of business against SIU. Edwardsville 78-40, which honestly that was expected. Wisconsin, dominant second half to pull away from Montana. It was 40-32 early on, and it was like, all right, well, we might have ourselves a little bit of a close one, which honestly I was expecting coming off of Wisconsin, who lost the Big Ten championship against Michigan. I thought it was going to be a bit of a hangover, but dominant start to the game, excellent finish, shot 55% from the field, but you got to improve from downtown, man. A 30% isn't going to win you a lot of ball games down the stretch. Overall, you turned it over 11 times, but you were able to capitalize. Got huge implications on the boards. Dominated 40-29 on the total rebounds. Largest lead at the time was 21. But overall, got to give Wisconsin a lot of credit for being able to get back into that game and just overall staying consistent from just the time. But yeah, like I mentioned, guys, it was at one point, this was a 32-40 ball game at the end of the first half. And then the second half, it just belonged to Wisconsin that entire time. It was 40-36. Actually, it was 42-38 with about 18-10 left in the second half. And then Wisconsin goes on a little run. They dominate from then on. They take a quick 5-0 run, take that all the way throughout the rest of the game. It was 51-47 with 15-14 as well. And then from then on, it was just all Wisconsin from there. It was a defensive battle. Let me just tell you, it was one of those games that honestly, early on, you knew that it was going to be really rough at the end of it. But credit Wisconsin, credit what they were able to do, made big plays down the stretch, but that's a tough Montana team, man. That's a really tough team that they just played. So we'll see what happens from then on. Overall, enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. Purdue and High Point, that was a very tight. That was tighter than what people thought it was going to be. But knowing Purdue and what they have been like in past March Madness appearances, it doesn't surprise me this much to see them kind of struggle in the first round because of just the lack of success that you've seen from them in recent memory. But again, give High Point credit. They came out and really took it to them down the stretch of the game. But again, the boards belonged to Purdue at the end of the day. Out out rebounded them 45-24. It was just an unbelievable opportunity that Purdue captured. And the final for now, Creighton taking care of business against Louisville. I expected that to happen because, I mean, I thought Creighton came in as one of the more under or appreciated teams in March Madness. They came out with a dominant victory in that South region. Dude, that South region is going to be really fun to look out for. Guys, holy cow, we might be having two upsets to start off March Madness. The 12 seed McNeese Cowboys and Will Wade and company, who will probably be playing, coaching his final game as a Cowboy. They lead 31-13. How about McNeese? Shout out to the Southland Conference representing, by the way. Shout out the entirety of that group, guys. Know a good bit of people that were playing on McNeese's basketball roster. Guys, they dominated throughout that time. You know, you can imagine what people at McNeese must be feeling, specifically the players. And guys, I don't think that they were appreciated much during the season. You know, I know this was a team that didn't have a lot of quad one wins. Everybody didn't like them. Everybody knows how dominant Clemson had been throughout the season, but dude, they've come out in this trap and dominated. 31-13 right now. Guys, Midwest region, get ready for one. It's going to be fun. VCU and BYU in a tight one. VCU is in a battle with BYU right now. It's 11-10 through the first 5 minutes of the game, which honestly, I was not surprised to see that one be that close of a game because of what you've seen from VCU. I VCU was, and then it would happen very soon, just knowing the history of VCU, because it's bound to happen at some point from a team like that. So, and then your final score update for now, Alabama State and Auburn, 46-33, tight ball game. I'll give our Hornets some credit. Guys, they represent the SWAC conference. Guys, if you don't know about the SWAC, you need to get educated, bro. Because the SWAC conference is legit. I love the SWAC conference. I thought it was a lot. I think it's a lot of fun to get to see them. All right, let's continue on in our conversation. I don't know we're good. I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling up the feed on my X right now, seeing if that works. To be honest with you, and oh wow, that's crazy. But I'm checking now to see if our feed is good at this current time. There we go. We're good. All right, we're good, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that for the short delay, but anyway, guys, I know, doesn't it? Don't you love don't you just love delays? It's nothing better than that, especially with your Wi-Fi. All right, continuing on, guys. If you don't know about McNeese, by the way, you need to. You need to know about them. Everybody knows about Amir Khan, the Aura guy, the men's basketball equipment manager that's there. Dude is an absolute stud. Love that guy. Brings a lot of energy. But anyways, let's talk about what's going on at Michigan. Because we haven't heard Michigan really in the news with this in about a year. And what do you know? Why not drop a bombshell and have all this come back out to life? So this was first reported according to the Silver Bulletin, I believe, that said former Michigan OC Matt Weiss was charged today with unauthorized computer access and identity theft. Weiss gained access to accounts of over 150,000 student athletes across the country. More credence to the theory that Michigan may have stolen practice film from their opponents. And boy, let me tell you, the comments do not disappoint. Former Michigan OC Matt Weiss allegedly hacked these accounts largely to gain access to lewd photos and videos of female student athletes. Wow. So here's the thing. The notice is this. It doesn't involve football. Here's the thing. So that's one thing. All right. It's believe me, it's still disgusting. It is still gross. But I will say this is that there's no correlation to the football side of things. But still, this is really, really bad. This is really bad. And it's almost incredible to see this. And it's incredible just knowing that what you've seen from that is coming to light. And I think that's a big reason why he ended up resigning at the end of 2022. But there's quite a lot that still needs to be discussed when it comes to this. Because, guys, it's pretty damning to see this type of evidence come into light. I don't know what's going to happen from here on out for Matt Weiss and company. I don't know if Michigan's going to get involved in this because let me just tell you, because this was all the way dating back to his time with the Baltimore Ravens from 2015 all the way up until 2022. So it would have been 2 years that he would have been with Michigan. He had a pretty decent relationship with Jim Harbaugh. Do I think he was involved with the Connor Stallions thing? No, absolutely not. This has nothing to do with Connor Stallions. But like I mentioned, because if you remember, this was whenever he was placed on leave back in January of 23. of being placed on administrative leave and then was fired 2 days later. So now he's charged with that. Now you start to see, all right, well, obviously this has nothing to do with the game of football. Thank the Lord. But anyways, guys, I don't know what's going to happen with Matt Weiss. He's certainly going to spend some time in prison because of this, because that's just disgusting, bro. Like, why would you even do that? Just does not make no sense. Georgia wide receiver Nito Tuggle. I feel like we're the crime reporters now at this point here inside the huddle. Nito Tuggle was arrested on speeding and reckless driving charges. Not just that, by the way. He and another receiver were arrested. I think they're suspended indefinitely too. Yes. So it was Nitro Tuggle and Marquez Easley that has been suspended indefinitely after their reported arrest. So this incident broke early this morning. He was arrested by Athens Clark County Police on the misdemeanor charges of reckless driving and speeding, according to UGAsports.com. His infraction had not been previously reported, though UGAsports.com noted he had a driving-related incident. Had a $20 cash bond that he was able to get released. So here's the other thing. Easley, on the other hand, was reportedly involved in a crash at a residential location. His vehicle appeared to have driven onto the front entryway or porch of a housing unit. The two driving-related incidents followed a string of similar car-related arrests amongst the Bulldogs experienced over the last several off seasons. This is why I think at this point in time, guys, you got to take away the keys. You got to take away the keys of these kids, because they're going to screw your eyes out with this, and it is going to hurt you at the end of the day. Last July, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution released a report revealing Georgia football players who were involved in 24 driving-related incidents since January of 2023. So now you can replace more than that, guys. So it begins with the infamous crash that killed Devin Wilcock and staffer Chandler LaCroix. By the way, that was the same one that Jalen Carter was involved in. Last September, Bulldogs DB Daniel Harris was arrested for driving 106 in a 65, charged with not wearing a seatbelt, operating an unregistered vehicle without a license, driving without proof of insurance, and having an illegal window tint. Where's Kirby Smart in all this? When are we going to address these things? Because there is no way that a program of this magnitude that is on a national level is not being addressed. I don't know if it's been addressed behind closed doors. I don't even know if there's anything that's going to come out of this. Guys, you got to take control of your program if you're a head coach. You have to at this point, because there's no way you can go into a situation and you can go into a season with that hanging above your head, knowing that you have screwed yourself at this point. Just knowing what your reputation is. So now you're looking at, I think now 27, close to 30 now, maybe more, that hasn't been addressed yet. That is going to affect your program more. You're releasing guys, but what are you going to do at the end of the day, guys? So this is what he did Monday night. Update. He reportedly crashed his car into an apartment complex. So here's the so there were a bit more details on it whenever I looked at that one. And that's the ones that we kind of just talked about a little bit that On3 just tweeted about just now. The comments in this is crazy. At some point, it doesn't seem real anymore. LMAO, man, they got to stop giving these kids cars at UGA. What's going on in Atlanta? Maybe no more driving allowed for the football team. Coach Prime would never. It's getting out of control. What's going on with Georgia? Never ask a woman her age, a man his salary, a Georgia football player to drive sober. That is insane. The Georgia meltdown continues. I love it. Oh my God, dude. But yeah, I mean, you gotta think at some point, someone or something has to take charge. Because that is ridiculous. Just seeing what you've seen at this point. And just knowing what you've done throughout the season, knowing that it doesn't help your program with all these distractions going off the field. You got to have something going on, guys. You got to have something because that is ridiculous. Clemson picked by the way, guys, Clemson picked a bad time to play its worst game since they lost to South Carolina this year. So here's my thing. Kirby Smart, take control. Take control of that program. You got to start taking keys, especially during this offseason, especially if you're in summer workouts. You got to take control at this point because it's getting ridiculous. You can't have this on your program anymore, especially with what you have right now going on. There's just no way you're going to be able to survive with this. There's just no way. All right. Something's got to change. What will it be? I don't know, man. I just don't know. John Emery from LSU is announcing that he will return to college football for a 7th year. Honestly, guys, I kind of have a feeling that this would happen because he addressed it on X earlier this morning and said, should I run it back? And people were saying, yeah, you should. Yeah, you should do this. Yeah, you should do this. Guess what? They did. And at the end of the day, what is he going to do? He didn't say specifically that he would be returning to LSU, but let me give you the career breakdown of what John Emery has done ever since he's been in Baton Rouge. So if you remember, guys, John Emery said last year that he was going to enter the portal. He ends up coming back to LSU because nobody wanted him because of his injury. So if you remember in high school, this was one of the most sought after running backs in the class. He highest rated running back to sign with LSU in 2014. So this is a 5-star guy. Number 2 running back in 247 Sports coming from Destrehan High School. True freshman, doesn't start, but shows promise. Sophomore year, shows promise. Junior year, blows his ACL. 2022 has a pretty decent year. but ultimately just got overshadowed. Never could really see the field because of the rotation that you had. 50 year in 2023. Didn't get a whole lot of carries. Suffers a season-ending injury against Florida. Probably an ACL again. Super senior. Played in the season opener. Had a big time game. And then suffers an ACL tear during practice. So now you're going into 2024 with this guy. I don't know really what to expect from John Emery in 2025. Do I think he's going to make an impact? I don't know. I'm just telling you, I don't know with what to expect from him because there's just so much that you don't know with John Emery that, to be honest with you guys, I would not be surprised if he does end up going into the portal. Maybe he goes to an FCS program. Maybe he ends up going to a JUCO program. I don't know, guys. I don't know. If he does go to a JUCO, he would have been in college football for probably 10 years. I don't think it'll happen, but anything can happen, guys. Especially with what we've seen in college football thus far. And so this brings me to my point. John Emery has so much talent whenever he came out of high school in Destrehan, Louisiana. And by that point in time, you saw the talent. The problem with that is that there's so much depth. He never could really separate himself as the feature guy because of the amount of depth that LSU had in the running back position. This year, I think he's going to play a pivotal role. If he does decide to come back to LSU, I think it would be big if he provides depth at that running back position because you're going to have Caden Durham coming back. The running back room also includes, I don't think Josh Williams is back. I think he's gone. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. But overall, guys, this is one of those years for John Emery that he's going to basically be used primarily as a kind of a first or second down back. Caden Durham's going to be going to get the majority of your carries. If he's healthy, guys, I mean, he can be an explosive back. Do I think he's going to be an NFL player? Probably not. But I do think it would be nice to see him go out on a high note if he can finish out the rest of the season. I think that'd be very, very worthy of a great way to end your career as a team. Continuing on. So, guys, first of all, I want to thank our good friends at On3. He's a great On3 has been providing us with the latest information, guys. Really interesting. Really, really fun stuff that we've been able to get here. All right. Going to go ahead and take a quick break for a minute. Guys, we got about 35 of you right now in the chat. Let's go ahead and let's continue to rack up those likes. Make sure that you repost. Make sure you retweet to all your friends. Share it to those friend groups. Everybody do us a favor. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Hit that bell notification every time we go live. If you're watching us on Instagram, make sure you go into your notification settings. Make sure that you get notifications every time we go live on Instagram as well. And if you're watching us on our flagship station at X, like I mentioned, retweet, like, share with those groups, go to your messages, share the live stream with your friends and say, hey, Lucas Hill is live. Every live show is presented by our good friends over at vocalbreaks.com. If you want the best in the latest AI technology go on over to vocalbreaks.com, especially if you're a music producer. If you want to remix tracks, if you want to put together the next great hit in your industry, go to vocalbreaks.com.
Are you a music producer, DJ, or just someone who loves to remix tracks? Well, say goodbye to messy, low-quality track separations and hello to vocalbreaks.com, the most powerful AI-driven music editing tool on the market. Unlike other separation tools, Vocal Breaks harnesses the most advanced AI model available, delivering crystal clear vocals, pristine instrumentals, and an unmatched precision, all online with no software required. You can extract vocals or instrumentals with studio quality accuracy. It's perfect for remixes, mashups, karaoke, and music production, and for a faster, cleaner, and more reliable than any other service. So if you want the best, don't settle for less. Go on over to vocalbreaks.com and use code LucasHill10 now and experience the full future of AI-powered music editing. That's vocalbreaks.com using code LucasHill10. Are you a music producer, DJ?
Guys, we had 118 of you check out our show last night. Guys, we appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. If you're watching us on YouTube, guys, make sure that you holler at us. Come on, hop on up in the chat if you want. There you go. Boom. Copy that thing. Make sure that you hop on in, guys. Guys, make sure that you showcase us, guys. Make sure it happens. Make sure it happens, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We talked yesterday about Micah Hudson and his reasoning for leaving the program. And we talked about the mental and spiritual struggles about this. And I thought it was very important we discussed that. But now we decide what's a place that he could go back. I think Hudson left because of the knee injury. I think, honestly, he felt like he was ready to go. But, guys, you have a knee injury. It's hard to come back from that. It's not easy. It is not easy to come back from an injury like that. How do you know? I tore my freaking meniscus. Do you think it's easy to do that? It's not. It's really not, guys. So you can say that, oh, it's just a knee. Oh, it's not big deal to do that. Guys, no, it's not. It is not, guys. And so here's the thing. We don't know. One of the things right now with that is that you have to prioritize your mental health. Because if you don't prioritize that, you're screwed. You're going to screw yourself, and it's going to affect your decision making. I think he was very hasty to transfer to Texas A&M. I didn't think he would get. I thought it was a pretty interesting decision that he decided to transfer there. And I think he's wise. I think it'd be wise if he ends up going back to Lubbock. I think that'd be in his best interest. And to be honest with you guys, I think that's where he needs to be. He has to stay in Lubbock. I think it's where you're going to be closest to your family. And I think that's the place you have to consider calling home. Deion Sanders. Unfortunately, we talked about his plan to play another team in a spring game. But the NCAA, unfortunately, came to that. The governing body rule prohibits teams that's from scrimmaging against each other in spring practices. It is worth noting, though, that if the NCAA would consider revisiting that rule in the near future, especially if teams continue to act spring games. And having two teams play against each other could be a way to revive the spring game, which we've seen many teams opt out of it and contend for spring practices like Texas, like USC, like Nebraska, like LSU. We don't know just yet, guys. We don't know. So, like I mentioned, we're not going to see much of that. We're not going to see much of joint practices in the near future. Until NCAA is abolished, we won't see joint practices. And when you see that, and when finally it happens, joint practices will be held on a regular basis. I guarantee you guys, it's going to happen at some point. Whether people like it or not, it's going to happen. So we just hope it happens sooner than later. Okay. How much pressure is on Texas and Steve Sarkisian in 2025? Everybody knows that going into this year, they are, I think, the second or third best odds to win the national title this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they are the favorites to win it in 2025. What has Texas already done? Well, you've hired former Bears quarterback coach Kerry Joseph, I think, to be the same thing at Texas. I think that, yeah, from what I'm seeing, it looks like he will be the quarterback's coach at Texas. Wouldn't be surprised there. He's a former game coordinator. As well as an interim coach with McNeese State. He was also a co-OC with the Cowboys of McNeese at the time. Just now finally finished up his first 5 years actually, of the decade as a full-time coach in the NFL, which I thought was really, really good. I thought it was awesome that he was that. But continuing on, guys, we have seen many, many things around college football that has really gone crazy, especially at Texas, with with the rise of NIL, with all that we've seen. But ultimately, what is Kerry Joseph going to bring as a coach? Well, I mean, when you're talking about one of the greats of all time at McNeese State, as well as one of the greats of all time in the Southland Conference, look, Kerry Joseph is one of the best. Was a quarterback's coach with Chicago last year, was an assistant quarterback's coach with the Seahawks from 22 to 23. It's pretty crappy that they didn't retain him. I thought he was really good last year, despite with a young quarterback in Caleb Williams. And I think it sucks that the Bears didn't give Matt Eberflus the rest of the year, but I think it just got to a point where you saw improvement in 2023, even though you were still 7-10. And I think just this year, you lost so many games, like literally down to the last second, that ultimately cost you your job. So Kerry Joseph with Steve Sarkisian's squad, it's his first time back in the college ranks since I think 2019, whenever he was back I think he was either with McNeese or he was back with the Southeastern Lions. Yeah, he was with Southeastern in 2019. That was the last time he was at the college ranks. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that we saw. So Kerry Joseph with Texas is going to Arch Manning a lot back. I think he can develop more mobile because Joseph's game is pretty interesting. Just knowing what he was able to do as a dual threat quarterback, I think he can help unleash more of Arch's full potential and really help him develop as a quarterback. Deion Sanders is adding a brand new NFL player to his coaching staff. Leftwich will work with the quarterbacks in 2025. You know, Leftwich is one of those guys that has been around the game for a while, former offensive coordinator with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's a former NFL quarterback for about 10 years as well. And he was also with the Arizona Cardinals for 3 years as a quarterback's coach and an interim offensive coordinator. So I think that was interesting. You go along with Warren Sapp joining the roster as well as Marshall Faulk as a running backs coach. Michael Lombardi reveals to North Carolina why they decided to not appear on Hard Knocks. So NFL Films appear to be making a surprise move with offseason Hard Knocks by featuring Bill Belichick in North Carolina. But the talks fell through between the two sides, which meant that this would not be featured after all. So here's what I saw initially. This is what he said Wednesday on the show. He said that the conversations are still taking place and a deal wasn't done. The reason for that, it turns out, is because the school was deciding if it wanted to tell the story of the whole season or the off season. It chose the further that ultimately didn't come to fruition at the end of the day. So I don't have a problem with that, but I do think it kind of sucks to see that. This is what he said Wednesday. It would have been great. Well, I'll just let him talk about it at the end of the day. By the way, it's a 2-minute clip, so let's go ahead and talk about this. By the way, shout out Michael Lombardi at the end of the day.
Yeah, Lombo, when you were with us last in Indy, all the reports came out that said, hey, listen, the North Carolina Tar Heels, they're going to be doing, a Hard Knocks off-season type deal. And you basically said right away, like, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. We haven't signed off on that. That probably, isn't going to happen. Will and behold, it's not happening. Was that something that you guys decided? Was that a university decision? Like, how did that come to be? Because ultimately, like, I think all of us were thinking like that would have been pretty awesome to watch, you guys.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been great. The problem was that we control the story we need to tell here, and the story we want to tell doesn't end after we play TCU. The story that we want to tell is a story about how we're rebuilding this program, how we're going to honor the great players who have come before us, how we're going to restore Tar Heel football and make this stadium come alive on Saturday afternoons like a lot of other schools in the ACC. That's the story we want to tell. And when it stops after the first game like Hard Knocks does, and it doesn't really do us any good to tell that story. And that really was the concern that we all had here in the building was we're storytellers. When you let them in your building, we're going to tell a story. And the story we want to tell was about how we're working to build this program, and we're going to work hard, recruit, and do all that. That extends into September, October, November. It can't stop at Labor Day. And I think that was more of the issue. Now, there was a lot of misinformation, mostly from somebody who runs a website, as we all know, and who's never gotten it right. But that's okay. He keeps writing it. And we'll continue to not listen to what he says because he has no sources and life goes on. But I think that's what I was trying to allude to on that day. Pat, you're shaking your head. You enjoy that, right?
No, yeah, I knew. Yeah, we knew. Yeah. I knew you were going to this place too. I mean, it was as you were rolling, the day we asked you the question about it, it was just like, yeah, this is happening. Especially with Bill Belichick's relationship with NFL Films. He was living there. Like it felt like. Right. So it was just like a matter of fact almost. And we all love the offseason Hard Knocks. So I think people got excited being a thing. And then boom, boom, boom. And then you come on our show and it's like, I don't know about that yet.
So I don't know if that. Look, Honestly, I do think that it was going to be about nothing but Bill Belichick going back to the college game and then Michael. Why do I say both of those? Because Jordan plays a big factor with North Carolina. The biggest thing, by the way, guys, is this. Look, who he was referencing to, I think might have been Front Office Sports. I have done a project actually with Front Office Sports about that. But anyways, Front Office Sports is basically, look, by the way, if you guys don't know what Front Office Sports is, they basically cover sports business and the culture behind it. That's really about it. They were the first ones to kind of come out and say this, and then CBS Sports came out later on and said, "Wait a minute, we haven't," and said that North Carolina just said, "We haven't come to a deal with that." So they wanted to just cover the offseason. They don't want to cover the full season. They can do their own thing with what they do on YouTube. I think that'll make more money anyways for them. But no, man, that's ultimately what it came down to. I don't have a problem with that at all. I am for that. That's guys, what's so continuing on, guys. Continuing on. All right, let me give you guys a real quick update about all that is currently going on around the collegiate basketball area. Gonzaga and Georgia. Oh, my God. It's 27-3. Let me repeat that. It is 27-3. Gonzaga is up at this current moment. McNeese, holy cow. They look like they're about to beat the brakes off of Clemson at this point in time. Auburn looks like they'll be pulling away with a victory over Alabama State. Valiant effort, though, from the Hornets, guys. What a story that the Hornets were. Won the SWAC title earlier this year. Give credit to Tony Locke and that group. They did an unbelievable job. First time they've been in the NCAA tournament since 2011. First SWAC title since 2011. Look, there hasn't really been a whole lot of relevancy in Alabama State. Look, this was a team whenever he took over, they were 8-23 in 2022 for his first year. His predecessor before won a total of 13 games. 13. So you're talking about the basketball world at the SWAC at the time mostly being dominated by Grambling and even Alcorn State at certain points in the season. But still, heck of an opportunity, heck of a season for Tony Madlock and company. I give nothing but respect to them and what they were able to do this year at the end of the day. Really love that program. They have a lot to look forward to in the near future in the SWAC conference. McNeese, 45-27 over Clemson. They are just dominating this ball game. I mean, you're getting consistent play all across the board. Cowboys team. Well, there's a reason why McNeese State was a dark horse going into this year, guys. And they proved they were worthy of an appearance. They proved why they were one of the best in the G5. And rightfully so. They're up 47-27 right now, by the way. Clemson shooting 27% from the field, 13 turnovers to just 6 for McNeese. That is incredible. VCU and BYU at the half, 39-28, tight ball game. I expected this to be fairly close. VCU's got to get more production. They're getting smoked from downtown. Got to be better. Specifically from Igor Demon from downtown. He's 3 for 4 from 3-point range. And here's a guy that was just 27% from the field from 3-point range. Really not that much consistency from him, but has been dominant so far. Like I mentioned already, Gonzaga is just dominating this game. 27-5. You got to be kidding me. And look, Georgia was irrelevant majority of the season. You had a couple of quality wins. Other than that, I wasn't impressed. I think the only reason why they got in at the end of the day is because you had the close loss to Auburn early in the season. But this was a team that was so out of whack. It was incredible. There was no real good quad one win apart from Florida at the end of the season. That's really about it, guys. And then you go into conference play. Sure, you make the quarterfinals, but really not impressed. Not very impressive whatsoever. I'm going to see if we have a few more of some finals around college basketball. But we'll take a look real fast for you guys. No, we don't have any more finals for now. More to come later today. Wofford and Tennessee getting ready to tip off in about an hour and a half. Followed by Arkansas and Kansas. I think Arkansas might pull off an upset. Kansas has just looked too inconsistent for me. The 5.5 point line. Texas A&M looks like they'll be in a tight one. Yale, don't worry about that. Drake, Missouri is an interesting one. This one could end up in an upset, but I do love Missouri at the end of the day. St. John's looks like they're going to dominate Omaha pretty easily. And then Texas Tech, UC. I like UC San Diego in this one. I think majority of America likes UC San Diego, and they like the run that they might be making on bottom line. I like UC San Diego in an upset in this one. All right. That's going to do it for today. Y'all have a great rest of the stream. Y'all have a great rest of the day. We'll catch y'all tomorrow with some more March Madness action and a lot more around college football.